everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in to season 10 of ATX Television Festival. I'm Jennifer Morgan, the Director of Programming, and I hope you enjoyed the previous conversation with Achievement and Television Excellence Awardee Michael J. Fox as much as we enjoyed having him. I'm honored to continue our first ever awards night by presenting our inaugural Breakthrough Award to writer, producer, actor, and activist Angelica Ross. As we reflect on what these kinds of awards mean, who typically gets recognized, and what they get recognized for, it was important for us that this particular award was born out of joy and excitement. Excitement for what TV can be when it embraces authenticity, and those who bring something undeniably unique to every project and character they inhabit. By definition, our definition, the ATX Breakthrough Award seeks to recognize a creative voice who has made a unique and substantial imprint on TV and exemplifies not only the current moment in television, but the possibilities of its future. Anyone who has witnessed Angelica's history-making roles on Pose, American Horror Story, and the Emmy-nominated Her Story, among others, can attest that her work not only meets this definition, but gracefully exceeds it. While I deeply wish that we were able to present this award to her in person in Austin, as it should be, we're thrilled to be able to host this intimate one-on-one conversation with Angelica and another iconic actress, the one and only Sheryl Lee Ralph. I want to say thank you to Angelica and Sheryl for making time in their extremely busy schedules to join us for this conversation about TV and creativity and to reflect on where they've been and where they're headed. Please join me in welcoming Breakthrough Awardee Angelica Ross and actress Sheryl Lee Ralph.
There we go.
There we go.
All right, I'll let y'all take it away. Thank you.
Angelica. You know I love a Miss Ross. Yes.
Yes, we love divas. You know, we are great divas. And I just thank you so much for sharing space with me here and for this special moment. For me, this is like one of my biggest honors, first honors in this space of acting. You know, I'm new, but I'm also not that new, as she's mentioning her story. But it's great as a Black trans woman to be in this space with you.
You know, it is so interesting now. So you and I, we know each other. We love each other. We've shared special moments with each other. And
I know your children.
Come on, you know, my kids, all of that stuff. You know, but I'm always amazed that there's so much more to you than just an actor. When you and I first met, well, no, was that? See, I always get that confused because Etienne says, no, you all first met at the premiere of Claws.
Yes.
Was that it?
Yes, that was it. Yes.
There you go.
Yes.
At the premiere of Claws. But then
I was so starstruck. I was so starstruck. I couldn't believe, to be honest, like it was all, I mean, because Niecy Nash was there. And so like, I think Sherry Shepherd and Lonnie, I think was there. It was like so many, but I want to know, it was just so many people there. But it was as if a dream was passing by because I just saw you like around the way as I was talking to like Olivia and your son. And, you know, you're like, oh, that's my son. You were so proud, you know, like, you're like, that's my son. And for me, being in this space, in this room, again, this was at the beginning of my sort of kind of rise. Claws was before Pose. You know, and so not that many people knew who I was or what have you. So I was just really fresh and really green. And so when I saw you, I was just like very, very speechless, but you were just so amazing and have been amazing ever since. Like just a real one. And I'm so thankful for that.
Oh, thank you. But when you and I sat down chatting at SAG, at the Screen Actors Guild, we were part of a panel there. And I said, wow, this young woman has great depth to her because you were, you know, we were talking about life in general and you were talking about your love of science and STEM and the importance of that. How did you get to that place as a performer, as a human being?
Yeah, you know, listen, I really do feel like technology is that great equalizer with a lot of things because it honestly, if you're someone who has any kind of creative leaning, get a piece of technology in your hand and there's just so much that you can do. But even with that being said, you know, being a Black person who doesn't, you know, comes from a very, you know, humble beginnings, but also being a trans woman and having to sort of navigate the streets and navigate unemployment and navigate all of these spaces, it was the internet where, you know, it was in time in my life where for trans women, I mean, it's just the truth and reality of the thing is, I know it's not the most glamorous part of the, you know, the story, but it's just that I had a moment where I was being fired from every job that I took. I would start the job and then I would like waiting tables, which is like the actor job of all actor jobs in the beginning, you know? So I'm waiting tables, but as soon as I like have to show my ID or people start to find out that I'm trans, then there was like a lot of drama on the job. But I was always the best employee, which was just very odd. But I still kept, because of our society, I kept losing the jobs. So
just because of who you are,
just like
because
solely, I mean, because I was a great waitress. I listen, I would always take the orders by memory and I would like dazzle my tables, be like, okay, so you had the chicken plus the this and you had the la 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 la, you know, but for me, it was like one of my first acting jobs. So, you know, it just every table was a new audience for me.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So, so I wanted to make sure that they enjoyed themselves. But once I got fired from so many jobs, I had to consider the adult industry and being like websites, posing on websites and things like that. And when I got there, the woman said to me, she was like, "You're a little sharp on that computer." She goes, "How about instead of posing on the website, you help me run it?" And yes. She was, yes. And so I went to like video tutorials online and I learned how to crop pictures and rotate, upload. I learned how to retouch. I learned how to do CSS and HTML and how to build websites. And so instead of being exploited on these websites, which again, a lot of my sisters were, because of the fact of like, one thing they say about trafficking, sex trafficking or human trafficking, is like this high level of coercion. So just like people from other countries get trafficked into spaces because the people who are trafficking them are saying, what else are you going to do? You don't have, you know, the paperwork, you don't have the degree, you don't have certain things. This is all you can, you know, possibly do. Well, for trans people, when we saw the environment as what it is, we're barely allowed to walk down the street, let alone hold a job or any position of power. So what are you going to do, Angelica? You want to do all this. What are you going to do? This was in, you know, 2001.
Wow.
So things weren't
20 years ago.
You know what I'm saying? 20 years ago. So for me, though, it was embracing, and I always tell people about this, you cannot make an enemy out of your current moment or where you at. You have got to make peace and you have got to accept. First, you got to accept, you know, you can't be in denial about what's going on or be ashamed or embarrassed or have all this energy that's going against you. Okay, girl. Okay, this is what the land of the lay is. This is what you got to deal with. Okay. So, and then just step by step.
Yes.
Still moving towards the dream of
the goal. That's right.
Absolutely. The goal that I had, which was I always wanted to be an actor. Before I transitioned, I was in every musical, choir. I was in community theater for 12 years. I was in Fame and Grease and all these kind of things. But once I transitioned, it kind of stopped. So what I realized was in the meantime, between when I kind of was like kicked out on my butt and had to figure it out till now.
Yeah.
I've had technology to help me hold on to my creativity while also learning how to pay the bills. So I can record my own music and my laptop while also, you know, making my resume look good or, you know, learning some skills or whatnot.
It's so interesting that you talk about that and what it is you had to do to get you to where you wanted to go. I think back, 25 years ago, when you bring up being a waitress, I was an incredible waitress on TV. Yeah. On TV. Yeah. I got paid to be the waitress on TV.
Yes, yes, that's the best.
It was a series called It's a Living, produced by Whit Thomas.
Yes.
And you have to think 30 years ago, things were different. TV was very different. And Tony Thomas had this idea because one of the women, a beautiful blonde, blue-eyed woman, was leading the show. And he said, we're going to put a Black girl in this show. And everybody was like, you're going to do what? You're going to put a, what? Huh? What? Yes. What kind of a girl are you going to use to replace this blonde girl? And it was a big deal that Whit Thomas Harris was actually going to replace a white actress with a Black actress, you know? So when I got that role, like you, it was breaking through. It was getting the industry to consider talent just for talent.
Talent, yes.
And that is not very easy. When you talk about you making your transition from male to female, that things sort of dried up.
Yes. Yeah, I'll say that, you know, well, it's like this. That's why I say you can't, to be a woman is just to walk in a woman's shoes, period. You can theorize and talk about it all day that you want to, but until you're like walking in the shoes and having your voice be, you know, kind of diminished in spaces, or, you know, being only seen for what you have on the outside, and, you know, and just so many, you know, things changed for me as I transitioned, but mostly too is that getting jobs or staying employed. So I was very, what they call stealth. Which means that no one knew that I was trans. So I was acting as an extra in shows like South Beach that was executive produced by Jennifer Lopez on the CW. I was extras in CSI Miami. I did weight loss commercials, and I was an extra in Little John and the East Side Boys Get Low music video, you know, but these were all extremely stressful environments for me. Yeah. Because I'm very pleased with where my life has gone, how I've blossomed into the woman that I am now. Yes. But, you know, I wasn't as secure in myself, in my body, in my appearance. I was always terrified of being found out.
Yes.
And so in my acting classes in college, I went to Florida Atlantic University and studied theater. So in my theater classes there, you know, I was just so nervous. My teachers didn't know, no one knew, because for my safety on campus, like I was in the girls' dorm, and it's just Florida's weird. And Florida's weird. And so Florida, just let's put that out on the table. The whole freaking state. But no, but you know, I had to navigate things by being stealth. Yes. What I knew though about that is that as an actor, I would never be great. I would never get to greatness by hiding parts of myself, in the sense that, like, as an actor, you need to be able to let go into the role and not be worried about what I look like, what I sound like.
That's right.
You know, I mean, there's some of that we manage, you know, obviously within the performance, but still, I can't be thinking, is the camera do I have an Adam's apple? Is it, do I have any hair on my, is it something like, is my voice too deep? Is that something, girl, perform. Like I how could I, you know? So it wasn't until Her Story, a web series I did called Her Story, where it was written by
where it was an Emmy-nominated. Please, thank you. This is TV, darling. Emmy-nominated.
Yes, it was an Emmy-nominated series, and that show, for me as an actor, really gave me the chance to show what I could do without having to worry about all that stuff. All I could just bring myself, I'm playing this role, the director knows, the writers know, everybody knows what the deal is. We plan this story. But what was even better is having someone trans in the writing room and directing and doing things like that. There was a moment where a line was said where I'm talking about the date that I was on. And she's like, okay, well, that sounds wonderful. So why aren't you sound like you're not all the way happy. And I was like, well, yeah, it was because I didn't disclose. And for those who don't know, like disclosure is when, you know, we find the safe moment to tell someone that I'm trans. So it's not always a safe moment or safe people to be around to do that.
It's interesting that you bring that up as well.
Yeah.
Because another role that I played was in a series called Barbershop. And I played a trans woman. And the moment
I think you
yes, I played a trans woman. I remember this very clearly. It was exactly almost 16 years ago. It was in the month of July. August, because I had just gotten married and my husband and I are getting ready to go on our honeymoon. And I get a call that says, are you available to come to work on Monday? It's an incredible role. It's a trans woman. And we were thinking, who can play a trans woman with reality? And first of all, I was very flattered.
Because you're a diva, you know.
Thank you. I was ready for all of that. And I took this role without hesitation. And I think what has changed, you were talking about the safe place. One of the greatest scenes was when I tell this man who has literally fallen in love with me, this man, that what my truth is, you know, and it's all about how he reacted towards that truth. And anyway, he walks away. Somewhere in that episode, he does come back and he cannot fight the love that he has for me. And it was very hard for him as a straight man, very hard for him as a straight man to tell his friends, because, you know, it's the barbershop.
Yes.
Who and what he is in love with.
Sure, I gotta go find this and rewatch because I feel like I gotta go back and see this.
It's quite wonderful too, because the trajectory of the character is very similar to what you're talking about. She's been living as an actress in these other roles with people not knowing her truth.
That's so beautiful.
Yeah, so I look now at where we were 16 years ago to where we are now. And here you are with that incredible, outstanding cast of Pose, having truly changed TV, not just for yourselves, not just for the viewing audience, but for other actors and actresses to be able to live and perform in their truth. And that's major.
It was really, really major. It majored so much so that it was a moment that really shifted things. And I could see that it shifted it in such a major way, both in our audiences and with the fans and with people who are watching, but the industry itself is shifting because of it. And not just in a way that is about tokenizing a narrative or about any of that, but it's the fact that a show like Pose not only gave me space as a series regular,
Ferocity,
you know what I mean? To take and show folks, you know, what I could do. But also every ball, there were so many people from our community who got a chance to show what they could do, but also got a chance to add them hours up. so that they could get that Screen Actors Guild, that union card. Now, that's when it changes the game and you can actually start getting jobs that pay bills.
That's right. I mean?
So I've started to see some of the people that have been on Pose in our cast and our crew, in our crew working on other shows, and our extras working on other shows, and they're building those credits up, and they're also seeing what it takes to show up. Because I'm tell you this, some people that came to the show also left because they didn't understand what 16 hours meant, when we were filming for 16 hours and you're in holding.
Come on now.
And think about it like this, like,
and wait.
Hurry up and wait.
That's it.
Because listen, I'm lucky now to be able to have like a beautiful trailer. Mm-hmm. But when I was a background extra on CSI Miami or what have you, I think I was under a tent at a picnic table. You know what I mean? And that's what we had to be for hours and hours and hours. But that is part of the pathway. That's not because you're trans or LGBTQ. That's because you're an extra in this thing, and that's just what your job is today. And knowing, I used to talk, let me tell you something, not only did I do my job, but when they said cut, there were so many times that I took time to actually speak with and teach the background folks and just talk about the industry. They would have questions or whatever. But there was a moment during Candy's, I think it was during Candy's funeral, or it was a moment where I could tell that folks wanted to have a line or say some things or do some things. And sometimes it was going over our lines or doing certain things. But when you recognize and don't squash people's like sort of joy and excitement and just get them to understand that, listen, we're creating a piece of music together. Right. And so you have to know that there's a lead track. And then there are we're accompanying this lead track. And so sometimes we have to even know that the silence is beautiful. Like even in those moments of knowing how to create that thing where you could just hear a pin drop. And
the silence of you rising up out of that coffin. I have to tell you, Angelica, that moment, that scene, I don't know what it was about it, but it made me cry and it made me hear the song differently. And when Candy walks around and she says, I never knew love like this, that here she was taking up space in the world and she didn't know how much she was truly loved by others or by herself. And it just, oh my God, it was very moving.
You're gonna make me cry, yes.
No, but that's how I felt. For me, the whole show could have ended right there and it would have been amazing. But it just spoke volumes,
Well, you know that even that moment when they told me that it would be that song.
Yes.
I of course I knew the song. I grew up listening to Stephanie Mills. The moment I hit play on that song, I just started weeping.
Yes.
The moment, because you hear the beginning chords, and I felt like I heard the organ at the funeral. It was just like that's what I was hearing. And then, to understand that that's the shift. And Marianne Williamson talks about this a lot when she talks about like really what a miracle is. And a miracle is when there's a shift from fear to love.
Yes.
We needed this miracle. Pose
Absolutely.
Pose was that miracle that shifted so many people's fear about trans people to a space where they could actually even conceive of loving one of us as a sibling, as a son or daughter, as a lover or partner, that they could see us differently. And, for me, out of Candy's story and out of the legacy of what Pose is creating, you're right. Candy needed to be able to love herself that way as well. And even, Angelica Ross had to get to a place where like, I feel like I glow in these ways because of how I truly love myself now. And so even the experience that I have, even in a world that's transphobic and even in a world of limitation, that's not exactly my experience. And it's just because of I'm really hell bent on manifesting, I guess. You know what I mean? Like I'm determined. I've been determined since I set foot in my first drama class.
When we talk about, being in class, when you talk about going from extra to actor, to star, to celebrity, to personality, to all of the things that you are now, we know that once we break through, we don't want that to be it, because, show business, whether it's TV, film, stage, it can be very unkind. You can be hot right here, right now. And when that flame turns down and you get cold, and then you realize, whoa, is that all there is? And it's almost like there's that little devil on the shoulder that says, yeah, that's all there is, baby. You had your 15 minutes. That's it. There is no reinventing. There is no rising from the ashes.
Right.
What is next for you? I know, like I started out, you're a woman of great depth. What's next? Because I know you're working on something, because I'm always working on something.
Absolutely.
So what's the next for you?
Well, obviously for me, I want to model for folks just a new way of being and existing as a global citizen, as someone who is both here to enjoy the entertainment, but also not be lulled or put unconscious by entertainment, and not be paying attention to the things that are going on around us.
Right.
So for me, I'm so blessed that I am booked and busy as an actor. I get to continue to work with Brian Murphy and American Horror Story and do things like that. When you're involved in, when I'm hot on a show, but I've also been made it very clear to the industry and to anyone who's listening that I really can't be bought. I've been homeless. I've been on the
Come
street.
on now.
I've been without. And so I could do it again if I have to. But what I know is that I'm one that's always accepting of what is next. So whatever's coming next. But what I do know for sure is next for me is that I'm stepping more into my role as a teacher of sorts, just in the sense that I've always felt a spiritual sort of calling on my life in ways, but it hasn't fit in the boxes that I grew up in, as far as, and the churches that I grew up in and things like that. But as a Buddhist, I've come up with sort of a method I call my personal PhD. And basically what it is the fact that people used to tell me at job interviews, or when I would get certain jobs, they would make me feel less than because I didn't have the bachelor's degree. I couldn't finish it because of some of the struggles of being a Black trans woman,
Well, now you can do it because you can get it online.
Well, yes, now I can, absolutely. And trust me, my dad is on my butt about finishing. But what I've learned is over the past now 4 decades, I used to say that I had a master's degree, Ms. Ross, but now I say I have a doctorate degree. But I truly know from walking that path, that I truly believe that everybody can obtain a doctorate level and should be able to be their own doctors of sense, having a doctorate level understanding of your life and of your value. Because I think that's that's why there's so much violence and so much all the stuff that we're having right now, because of people not knowing their value and being tricked out of it and being all this. There's a lot going on.
That's right. Or on the flip side, people not accepting the value of other people because of whatever it was, whatever wrong teaching they got when they started out.
So I want every single person to understand and know, number one, you have intrinsic value. And so does everybody else. So if you don't understand that relationship, that's a lesson you need to start at. Secondly, you need to have a spiritual foundation. I don't care what it is, but something where you can put that mirror on your soul and do a look at that. And then also understand, that will help you understand life condition and understand where that's at. But then understanding you can curate your own curriculum. So for me, I may not have that college degree or whatever, but I know I'm masterful in what I do because I value education. It just comes in different forms. So I know that I'm teaching in ways that are unconventional, and I'm just trying to step on that space. And as I act and take up space, I'm creating space for other people to get their lessons.
Ooh, I love that.
Yeah.
You know, for me, you know, just the other day, we acknowledged 40 years of what we now know as AIDS in America. And I remember so clearly being such a young woman and seeing how awful America and the world was at that time to gay human beings, people who were different, people who presented different. And, you know, for me, it was that, probably the very same for you, that little church girl in me, although you weren't born yet, the little church girl in me that says, we are all human beings.
Yeah.
And what did you learn in church or whatever that you can't figure out how to help these people, you know? So when we talk about trying to teach people and others about their worth, you know, that can be hard and that can be difficult, because I'll never forget people telling me how stupid I was and what made me think that the world was going to accept gay people, and why would I spend so much time with those people, and why would I open my mouth up one day, you know, doing Divas Simply Singing, and Etienne, your friend, was maybe, I'm going to say almost 2, because he couldn't talk. And I was holding him, and he was just talking to the audience. Of course, no words, just blah, 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 using his hands, because he'd probably been watching me. And I looked at him, and when he stopped, and I said to the audience, I said, see, if my son grew up and was a gay man, I would love him anyway. Girl, the hate mail I got.
Are you serious?
Oh my God. The hate mail I got from people saying things like, what kind of hypocrite am I to say that I could love a gay child?
Wow. Isn't that, you know, but that's why you say it's hard to teach that value, but the best way to teach it is by example. You know, and really, honestly, I had to bear. That's why, as an actor, that's why for me, acting is really my primary love, because I am offering myself as a vessel.
Yes.
To time and time again, role after role, reveal the humanity in all of us.
Absolutely.
And so even Black trans characters who come from the streets, who have been sex workers. Again, that was the beginning of my story as well. So it's one of those things, and it wasn't actually the beginning, but it was because being a trans woman, I found myself there, but that was only a chapter in my story. And so the ways that I'm able to model for people what it looks like when you take your value by the reins and says, I determine what this is, not these policies, not these people, not no religion, not no church, not my mama, not my daddy, not nobody.
Come on.
You know, and I'm honestly standing here in full command.
Yes.
Of my vessel, of my skill, of my talent. And that's what I'm trying to hopefully bring to every role.
It's so amazing that you talk about that, because that is it. And it's very hard to tell people, let's just simply start by looking in the mirror and agreeing to love what you see.
Absolutely.
Agree to respect what you see. Encourage what you see. Lift up what you see. Because if you can't do all of that, this is not the right industry for you, because this industry will break you. It will break.
Well, it's they say fame, you know, fame is like a spotlight. And so whatever it is that you haven't dealt with or confronted, or you think you hide in, or whatever the case is, fame gonna be that spotlight and put us, you know, it's gonna amplify all of that.
Yes.
But to be a celebrity And, you know, one thing I learned from my spiritual practice is just, you need to know what you're being celebrated for. So for me as a celebrity, it's not just that I'm on TV. My fans who start crying when I like come into a space or when I'm at a site or whatever, they celebrate.
Yes.
Because the journey in my career, because it means something. It's something to celebrate.
Let me tell you something. What was so wonderful, you know, doing Dreamgirls on Broadway. Thank you.
I loved you in Dreamgirls. I've seen the video. I love you in Dreamgirls.
Thank you. Thank you. I was about ready to say to you, have not seen me in Dreamgirls, girl, because you were not alive.
No, I've seen video. I've seen video performances.
Oh, I love that. That's why I love the future and I love the internet. But I love the fact that when we were doing Dreamgirls, we did something for the chocolate girl. When the chocolate girls saw us, they saw themselves. When they saw us feeling good about ourselves, they felt better about themselves. So you being this chocolate trans woman, beautiful, secure, loving herself, I know what it means for my audience. What does it mean for yours?
It means that we don't have to, you know, look for scraps of love when we love ourselves this much, you know. It really, because when you know, I was engaged to be married. I was in a relationship for like 8 years with a doctor, and he was Italian, he was handsome. It would have probably maybe worked had I chosen to be stealth and live as like in his kind of shadow, live and protect his sort of image of being a straight male in the world or whatever. Let me tell you, as a Black trans woman who was on the streets, who had nothing, who was kicked out, and now I have what perceived to be the life with this man that I was engaged to be married with, who was a doctor. We lived in South Florida. For many folks in my community, that would seem like that's as good as it's gonna get, girl. Even with the fact that he won't really take you home to see his family, or they honk outside the door and take him to dinner, or whatever the things that happen, you know, or they talk about, you know, they threaten your relationship all the time and he says nothing, whatever. This is the best it's gonna get. The audacity that I had to say that I deserve more, and to love myself enough to leave that and bet on myself. And through years of having to figure it out or whatever, but the process, it ain't the process of getting to love yourself. And now even not knowing all those shades as an actor of what it looks like when I don't love myself and how I can bring that to a role.
Girl,
it's honesty.
You know what? It's so interesting. And I know we don't have a lot of time left, and you and I could talk.
Yes, we could. Yes, we will.
There you have it. When you talk about fame is a spotlight on you, you know, people always say, you know, people change when they become famous or when they become the celebrity. And it's like, oh no, they don't change. They just become exactly who they are. And that spotlight is showing you exactly who they are.
Absolutely.
Now, in this conversation, you've given us great glimpses and stories of the breakthrough artist that you are. But in closing, please tell our audience exactly who you are in this moment accepting this award.
I am grateful and I am honored. I am also just obedient to the call and the dream of being an actor, and to telling these stories and to doing the work that is involved in trying to bring breakthrough performances time and time again. So I just really am thankful and honored to be recognized, to be seen for that.
Yes.
I am someone who is just breaking through. I'm just beginning. So you're just seeing me, even though I'm now 40 years old, you are seeing me just break the surface and just break through. And I really thank you for the acknowledgement.
Oh, we are all so happy that we got to spend this time with you, celebrate you in this time, celebrate you with this award. And I am just so happy. But you better remember, I was the first person to give you an award. You were not able to show up for that award, but thank you very much.
That is right. I was filming for that. That was right. That was right. Thank you. And again, like I said, even before everybody else was onto it, the support. And I don't think I can't understate it, what it means to have the support of a Black woman, to have the support of not just any Black woman, but a Black woman who knows the work, who has done the work, and who is just so talented to be seen by someone also who is talented, to have game recognize game, talent recognize talent. It means the world to me, and it honestly has been the steam underneath my wings to have people like you supporting me. So I'm so grateful. Thank you, Sheryl.
I love you. I love you. I love you. I thank them for giving us this time together. Everybody out there that's been watching, follow Angelica Ross. Follow her. Follow that story. Keep up with her. Oh, you can keep up with me too. You'll find us all. You'll find us both on social media. I'm Sheryl Lee Ralph. That's Angelica Ross. We love you all. Keep on and hold on to your dreams, because sometimes that's all you got.
Amen.
Bye-bye.